Today, we will talk about the secret space plan revealed by a hacker in 2010. On an ordinary day in cloudy and rainy London, a man named Dragon Press was in his apartment, pouring a cup of coffee when he casually opened his email. At the top of his inbox was an email from the U.S. Department of Defense. Shocked, he quickly opened the email, which read, "About an hour ago, we talked with a representative from NASA. They confirmed the Solar System Supervisor plan is a NASA project. However, this project was terminated by the President." My signature on the email was from the U.S. Department of Defense. Trembling, he spilled his coffee, realizing the Solar System Supervisor plan was real. He didn't care much anymore, grabbed his coat, and rushed out of his apartment because he had to quickly find his collaborator to discuss his new situation. Who is this character, Dragon Purse? He's a television producer and an independent investigator. At that time, he was collaborating with another producer from the BBC on a documentary about an extraterrestrial fleet. Purse's task was to investigate and verify the authenticity of events revealed the day before. He had just sent an email to the Pentagon requesting access to a Department of Defense archive to investigate documents of an old project named the Solar System Supervisor, which was mentioned in the Pentagon's reply. This project included clandestine content-like space battleships, which intrigued the public and was related to a high-profile tech crime case that shocked Giak. To understand the origin of the situation, let's go back 10 years to London, 2001. A young man named Garina was diligently working in a small watchtower. Garina was a system administrator, or to be precise, the embodiment of Neo in the Matrix. By day, he was a system administrator, and by night, in his small attic, he transformed into a top-notch hacker. That night, Garina was unusually focused because his work over many nights was about to pay off. After entering a string of characters and pressing enter, his computer screen displayed numerous folders. His eyes shone as he realized he had successfully hacked into NASA's internal website and could see NASA's top secret files. Eagerly, he browsed through the files, but his excitement quickly faded as each document he opened was filled with professional astronomical analysis and data which he didn't understand. Just as he was about to log out, a folder labeled Solar System Supervisor caught his eye. Opening the folder, Garina was shocked. The documents revealed that the U.S. Navy and Space Force had a project named Solar System Supervisor, whose main goal was to build 8 cigar-shaped spacecraft, each larger than 2 football fields, and 3 to 3 smaller space reconnaissance ships. The project label indicated it was a black project, meaning any project labeled as top secret defense or military-related. Its content, contractors, and associated government departments were not disclosed publicly. For example, the famously secret Manhattan Project was a black project. From its initiation by President Roosevelt in 1949 to its conclusion in 1947, the media found no keys about it until the atomic bombs at the time of Little Boy at Fat One were dropped over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. Even then, the 130,000 employees involved didn't know they were part of the Manhattan Project until half a century later. Music plays, lasers saying walk at night often, and he will eventually meet a ghost. Every day around the websites of the Department of Defense and NASA, after nearly a year, he was caught by the Department of Defense's network administrator. The Pentagon, furious, accused Garina of sabotaging the computer systems of the U.S. Department of Defense, but didn't mention the leaked documents. To bring Garina to justice, the U.S. wanted the OC to extradite him to face trial for the highest possible charges, which could mean 70 years in prison. Moreover, the Pentagon's harsh words caused sensation in the UK, where citizens did not want Garina to be extradited, partly due to the American attitude. Just a hacker, they argued, as he killed anyone or caused significant loss to the US. Didn't respond, but was it fair for a young man to spend his life in prison out of mere curiosity? However, the Pentagon was adamant about extraditing Garina. The Guyuk government, influenced by public opinion, did not want to extradite him. Hughes accepted this as a compromise, but requested that Pak ensure Guerrero will be safe and could freely speak out. Despite this, Dragon Purse and Detroit proactively sent an email to the Pentagon's Information Department asking about the Solar System Supervisor project. Although he sent the email without expecting a response, the outcome was surprisingly positive. Not only did he receive a reply from the Pentagon, but they also confirmed the existence of the Solar System Supervisor project, at least as a past initiative. They even encouraged Purse to submit his query to NASA's Information Department, suggesting that NASA might assist. Excited, Purse quickly contacted his collaborator at the BBC to discuss the next steps. Looking back, it's peculiar how the Pentagon now willingly acknowledged the existence of the Solar System Supervisor project. Why then did they go to great lengths to extradite Guerrero years earlier? Since the start of the 21st century, the U.S. government has faced pressure from various quarters, including former government officials and scientists, who have come forward to reveal that the government has hidden too much from the public about unexplained phenomena not befitting a democratic government's actions. Just a few months before Purse sent his inquiry in late 2009, President Obama signed Executive Order 13,526, expanding the scope for declassification. Hence, Purse was fortunate to receive a prompt reply from the Pentagon. Purse and the BBC producer felt hopeful and decided to proceed with the documentary on the Solar System Supervisor project. They were determined to proceed even if Guerrero refused to speak. They believed that finding another insider or getting a bit more concrete information from NASA would ensure the program's success. As spirits lifted, they began searching for interviewees. Eventually, they found William, a former U.S. military officer who had worked for the famous Lockheed Martin and participated in the Apollo moon landing missions, even commanding the control center for the Apollo plan. William had deep knowledge of NASA's internal workings, so they hoped to reveal necessary information. William enthusiastically agreed to an interview. However, upon meeting Purse, was disappointed, fearing William's advanced age might mean had forgotten the details of his earlier life. Surprisingly, William's mind was sharp and clear. He confirmed his small role in the Solar System Supervisor project, recalling that in 1979, he and his team received a secret order to arrange a surveillance system in the solar system, called the Solar System Supervisor. He recalled the design of the spacecraft, noting that he was only involved in designing one type. The manufacturing site for these large spacecraft was a underground base near Salt Lake City, Utah, in a valley east of the Wasatch Mountains. William had never been there due to security clearance issues, but he heard from colleagues that the spacecraft being prepared were about 1 mile long. At this point, it might seem unbelievable that the U.S. had the capability to build such enormous spacecraft in the 1990s and even launch them into the solar system. There was skepticism about William's claims, which seemed too incredible to be true. For example, NASA's plans to return to the moon in September 2022, despite over 20 years of preparation, faced devastating technical issues. William's claim of a 1 mile long spacecraft being prepared in 1979 seemed far-fetched. Despite these doubts, Purse continued the interview, asking who was leading the construction of the spacecraft. William's answer was even more astonishing. He claimed that extraterrestrials as well as humans were involved in the project. This revelation stunned Purse. William promised to write a book detailing his experiences and shared that extraterrestrials had long been involved in Earth's space exploration efforts. For instance, the 1960s moon landing technology and spacecraft design were practically provided by extraterrestrials as part of an agreement signed by President Eisenhower. Despite their advanced technology, extraterrestrials regularly conquer Earth, but cooperated through contractual agreements. William's information suggested that outside the solar system, conflicts between different alien races were frequent, causing concern among U.S. military leaders. Hence the Solar System Supervisor program aimed to build a space force to protect the solar system, and by extension Earth. The project envisioned establishing 12 fleets of spacecraft, each led by a ship about 1 km long, carrying hundreds of smaller ships. By 2031, the first 2 fleets were supposed to be operational, but the project was discontinued in the 1980s for reasons unknown to William. After the interview, Peirce felt overwhelmed by the implausibility of the story. Additionally, he hadn't received any response from NASA despite the U.S. Department of Defense's prompt reply. After discussing with the BBC producer, they decided to abandon the Solar System Supervisor documentary. It was too speculative, and irony could damage their reputations. Instead, they opted for a program on UFOs for the BBC. 2 years later, William did publish his book, The Alien Scientist, which caused a sensation and drew both criticism and skepticism. Before his death, Ben Rich, former CEO of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, famously said that humanity already possessed the technology for interstellar travel, but it was better kept unknown to the public. This comment added depth to the story, suggesting that advanced technology might have existed for a long time, hidden from public view. This brings us to the conclusion of today's story. It be that many technologies far ahead of their time had been kept secret, existing long before they were introduced to the public. Recent years, some dream technologies will gradually become reality, increasing public skepticism about such hidden advancements. For example, personal aircraft, which were once only seen in science fiction like Star Wars, have now become a reality. Often, technology in laboratories is far ahead of what is introduced to the public. In labs, ideal conditions allow for the proof of concept, but bringing these technologies into practical application and mass production involves considering many complex environmental factors like weather and safety. For instance, a personal aircraft must meet high safety standards before it can be used practically. It's rumored that Intel had the capability to produce a 100-core Model 2 decades ago, but only dual-core core released to the market due to practical limitations. This leads to speculation that many advanced technologies have long existed in some form, only gradually introduced to the public in simplified versions. Sometimes these technologies are released and then slowly upgraded to fit into real-life applications. This pattern is not uncommon, indicating a significant gap between the development of technologies in laboratories and their introduction to the public. So where do these advanced technologies originate? Are they truly from extraterrestrial sources, or are they the result of human innovation? This remains a topic of debate and speculation. I welcome your thoughts and discussions on this matter. Thank you for following the story. If you're interested, feel free to subscribe for more videos or check out other content on this channel.